Okay, welcome back to another episode of Gut Check Time. I'm your host. Today we'll be talking about NFL Week 13. Can you please hit that like button? Please subscribe down below at any point during this video or after. Really helps out the channel. Thank you. Obviously I missed some Thanksgiving games. Obviously, like I said in my college football video, I was busy, so that's why I missed them. I was going to talk about Chicago versus Detroit, Buffalo versus Dallas, and New Orleans versus Atlanta. I'll run down what I would have picked in that game. I'm not going to run down the gambling picks. No point of that now. I would have had Chicago winning that game 21 to 20. So close game. So I would have gone. Actually, we will talk about gambling picks just real quick. I would have had over 37, Detroit plus 5.5. Next up, Buffalo versus Dallas. I would have had Dallas winning the game 26-20. So that would have put it at the under of 46.5. And I would have had Buffalo plus 6.5. And then New Orleans versus Atlanta. I would have had New Orleans 34-20. I would have had New Orleans minus 6.5, and then the over of 48.5. So I think I did pretty well in the first two games. Obviously, bad on the last one. But first up for the game, now this will be out. It probably won't be out on time. Like I said, just super busy. It will be out 100% next week. You won't have to worry about this. But 49ers versus Ravens. It's going to be the best game of the NFL season other than the Super Bowl. I'm really excited for this game. This is actually a game this is probably the most excited I've been for a regular season game in probably half a decade. The last Peyton Manning versus Tom Brady game was probably the most excited I've ever gotten for a regular season game. Well, not most excited, but most excited since then, I would say, is this game because I'm a huge Peyton Manning fan. Don't like Tom Brady. Those games were always fun to watch, especially after the first part of Peyton Manning's career, because after that, it was pretty much whoever had home field was going to win the game. That's how even those two teams were. I think these two teams are pretty even as well. I think the 49ers probably have the best front four in football. Their linebackers are a little bit weak. They're not great. That's probably their weakness. I think their corners are solid. Their safeties are okay. But obviously with Nick Bosa, Eric Armstead, DeForest Buckner, Solomon Thomas when you throw him in there, and Dee Ford when he's healthy, this is a really good front four. And it's going to have to be a monumental effort to defeat this Ravens team. They're playing at an unbelievable level right now. They've blown out, ever since the Patriots game, they've blown out whoever they played. I thought the Texans versus Ravens game was going to be a great game. And it turned out to be a gigantic blowout. So I think the Ravens are going to win this game just for the fact it's at home. But I can't believe the 49ers are getting 6 points on the road here. I think they keep it close. I'm going to take the Ravens to win the game, but I think it's going to be 27-23 Baltimore. So I'm going to take the 49ers plus 6 and the over of 46.5. I think both these offenses are good enough to score the other team's respected defenses, but I do think Baltimore will get enough stops because I believe in Lamar Jackson over Jimmy Garoppolo. That's pretty much what it comes down to. So unless 49ers defensive line just absolutely handles Baltimore, which I don't think is going to happen because Baltimore has a fantastic offensive line, then I think Baltimore wins this football game. Like I said, 27-23, take the Ravens to win the game, and then the 49ers plus 6 and the over of 46.5. Next up, New England versus Houston, the Sunday night game. I think New England wins the game for the simple fact that I believe their defense will be able to shut down the wide receivers that Houston has. And Houston does have a very good run game because their offensive line isn't very good. Now, if Houston can establish the run and dominate at the line of scrimmage versus that Patriots defensive line, which is the weakness of the Patriots defense, then you can win this game. I don't think it's going to happen, though, because their offensive line just isn't that good. Deshaun Watson's going to have to work a miracle here. He's going to have to do what he did in college when it was Clemson versus Alabama, when Clemson really didn't have the talent at that point to match up versus Alabama just yet in the trenches. He was the difference maker. Now, of course, it does versus Alabama, but back then, about 4 years ago, they didn't have those type of guys in the trenches to match up, and he was the difference maker. He was Superman. He was incredible in both the national championship games they played versus each other. He's going to have to do that today versus Bill Belichick in that defense. I will say this. If the Patriots are dumb enough to leave Stephon Gilmore on DeAndre Hopkins one-on-one, the Texans have a really good shot because DeAndre Hopkins will not be covered by a single human being on this earth one-on-one. It's not going to happen. I would expect what the Patriots do is they put their number 2 corner on the best receiver and then put a safety over the top and then put Stephon Gilmore on Will Fuller. And to be honest, I don't like that matchup. I think I don't believe Stephon Gilmore can go up against burners. I kind of like him better versus route runners, and that's what DeAndre Hopkins is. Now, he's fast, but he's a much better route runner than people give him credit for. That's probably what he's best at, actually. Will Fuller's just a straight burner, and that can wear on you throughout the game if you're just covering 10 to 15 go routes. I don't really like that, but hey, I don't like the Patriots, so if they want to do that, go ahead. Like I said, I'm going to take New England to win this game, though. I just believe that they're the overall better team, and I don't believe Bill Belichick will be outcoached by Bill Bryan, which is probably going to take that and Deshaun Watson to win this football game. I don't see that happening. I'm going to take New England -3 and the under of 45 here. Next up, Minnesota versus Seattle, Monday Night Football. In Seattle, I'm going to take Seattle to win this game 31-28 for the simple fact Russell Wilson is insane. Kirk Cousins has been much better in primetime lately, so that I can't use that anymore. He's been really good this season, and to be honest with you, I'd rather look at this season because this is now than his past of primetime football. Because so far this season, he played well versus the Cowboys, and I forget the other team he played well against in primetime, but there were 2 games I was very impressed with him in primetime. I believe Seattle does win the game for the simple fact, like I said, Russell Wilson is just insane. When he came into this league, he was mostly a game manager, and I didn't believe in him. And then 3rd year in the league, he started to step it up, and ever since then, he's gotten better, and he's just on the next level now. To be honest, if he plays at the pace he keeps playing at, I think he'll go down as probably a top 7 or 8 quarterback ever. That's how good he's playing at. He throws one of the best deep balls I've ever seen in my life. It's got a soft touch on it, and he throws it so high in the air, it lands perfectly right in the wide receiver's hands. It's an insane deep ball. He threw one versus the Eagles into double coverage last week. He's miraculous. He's awesome to watch. I'm going to take Seattle, like I said, 31-28. I'm going to take the over of 49 points. And Minnesota +3. I do believe the 3 points here will help you, even though that's a push. If you force me to take it, I would take Minnesota +3. Okay, that'll do it for the 3 gambling picks that I have this week. Next up, we're going to do just straight up games. Tennessee versus Indy. I'm going to take Indianapolis. Ryan Tannehill's been fantastic. But at home, I trust Jacoby Brissett to get back on track here after the loss last week. They need a win, too, because the Texans are right there, and the Texans somehow pull off the win tonight, and the Colts lose. I believe the Texans take over first place, or at least it's a tie for first place. So I'm going to take Indianapolis to win. Jets versus Cincinnati. I'm taking the Jets. The Jets are on a roll right now, and the Bengals stink. Andy Dalton is back, though, so they will be better this week. And I actually think they will win a game if he's the starter the remainder of the season. If he's not, and they keep switching back and forth, they will not win a game. Washington versus Carolina. I'm going to take Carolina here. This is a hard game for me to choose, though, to be honest with you, because Kyle Allen's been very inconsistent the past couple weeks. He's been good, and then he's been bad. I don't know which one's going to show up the last 3 or 4 weeks. Like I said, just inconsistent. Before that, he was pretty good. I'm going to take Carolina, though. Buffalo versus Jacksonville. I'm going to take Jacksonville to get back on. Tampa Bay versus Jacksonville. Tampa Bay versus Jacksonville. I'm going to take Jacksonville to get back on track at home. They played terrible the last couple weeks versus Tennessee. And then whoever they played the week before, I remember it was a blowout. They've gotten blown out in back-to-back weeks. I think Nick Foles finally gets his first win as a Jacksonville Jaguar. Jameis Winston, like I said, I'm always going to say this. I'm always expecting a pick or two. He played fantastic in that Falcons game, even though he did turn. Heck, I think if you ask Bruce Arians, here, he's going to throw 2 interceptions, but he's going to throw 4 touchdowns, sign him up for that, because you never know. Some weeks he throws 1 touchdown and 4 interceptions. So if he can repeat that performance, they can probably win this game. I don't think he can. Cleveland versus Pittsburgh. I think Cleveland wins the game. I think Cleveland's going to go on a roll here and probably make the playoffs. I don't believe in Pittsburgh. I'm glad they made the change from Mason Rudolph to Devlin Hodges or Duck Hodges or whatever you want to call him. I said that a couple weeks ago that he was a better quarterback because he was more poised and he doesn't make mistakes. And to be honest with you, I don't know why it took him this long. When you have their type of defense, which is a top 5 defense in football, they turn the ball over, they get pressure on the quarterback. It's like the 2015 Broncos. No offense to Brock Osweiler, but he was type of guy where if that first read wasn't there, he would throw. He would look for the second read and run, or still throw it in the first read with coverage and eventually turn the ball over. Where Peyton Manning didn't do that in the playoffs. And when you have someone who can just be a game manager with a great defense, you can win a lot of football games in this league, probably 9-10. That's all you're going to need to win the AFC North. So good for Pittsburgh for doing that. I still think they lose this game though. Could be wrong. One of the factors obviously going in that Juju Smith is out, number 1 target. But Deontay Johnson kind of stepped up last week, played okay, and James Washington had a pretty good game. But I don't know about Devlin Hodges' connection to James Washington. For the simple fact, Mason Rudolph probably has a better one because he went to college with him. He's been in the NFL with him as well. So I'm going to take Cleveland. Green Bay versus the Giants. I'm taking Green Bay. Daniel Jones has played pretty damn well, though, last couple weeks. I think he'll continue to play well, but I think Green Bay just gets the win because they're the better football team. Philadelphia versus Miami. Miami's terrible. I could see Miami winning this game, though, if Carson Wentz keeps playing like he has been playing. He's been playing god-awful. He has not been playing well. And if Philadelphia wants to do anything on this season, Carson Wentz is going to have to play better football. He just hasn't played well. And to be honest with you, if he puts up another season like this next year, if he doesn't get better this year and it continues into next year, probably won't last much longer in Philadelphia. And they probably chose the wrong quarterback at that point. Because I think Nick Foles was specifically made for that city. He showed up in big moments, could handle the crowd. I liked him there. But hey, it's too late now. The Rams versus Arizona. I'm going to take the Rams here, or I'm going to take Arizona. Sorry. I think Kyler Murray is going to run on that defense. I mean, you saw Lamar Jackson and Kyler Murray can do some similar things there. He's actually, in my opinion, probably a little bit faster. Or not, I take it back. He's quicker in smaller spaces. He's got fast feet, so he can move a little bit better in small spaces than Lamar Jackson. I think if they ran a 40, Lamar Jackson would probably win. But he's so quick. I've never seen someone in small spaces make so many people miss. And I think he's going to do that versus the Rams. Now, I could be wrong, and the Rams could win this game, but Jared Goff's going to have to play better. He's in the same situation Carson Wentz is. What the hell's going wrong? I mean, you have weapons around you, and you just look bad. I don't understand it. You both have decent. I will say Jared Goff's offensive line has been beat up, but it isn't terrible. I've seen better quarterback or worse quarterbacks play better behind worse offensive lines. So maybe he's just bad. Maybe I was wrong about him. I thought he was an average NFL quarterback, which if you're an average NFL quarterback and you have weapons around you, you should be able to win 9, 10, 11 games sometimes. Maybe that's the best of him was last year, and now it sucked because last year he made some incredible throws last year. I'll never forget the throw on either Sunday or Monday Night Football, rolls out to the right and throws it on the run in between two Vikings to Cooper Kupp for a touchdown. That was one of the top 10 throws I've ever seen in my life. It was an insane throw, and I haven't seen anything like that since. I think he's one of those guys where when his confidence is there, he can make some big-time throws. When it's not, he kind of gets gun-shy and doesn't make the throws he needs to make. That's why I'm going to take Arizona. I believe the confidence is shot, so I'm taking the Cardinals. Chargers versus Denver. I'm going to take Denver for the simple fact the Chargers are still beat up. Now they are getting people back. Derwin James, Adrian Phillips, both back at safety. Russell Okung will probably play at left tackle. But the thing is, you're still missing your right tackle. And you're going to have Von Miller come in there, and he dominates the Chargers. He's got, I think, a sack in every game he's played versus them. So he's going to have one at least today, at least one. And then you have Drew Lock playing. You don't have any tape on it. And as a Broncos fan, I am confident in this kid. He played really well in the preseason, got better every week. I think he's going to play pretty well today, especially with no game film on him. And he's just as mobile as Brandon Allen, and he's got a bigger arm than Brandon Allen. And Brandon Allen hasn't played bad. He played bad the Buffalo game, but the Vikings game and the I forget who he played the first game. I forget who he played the first game, but he played well in that game as well. So I expect the Denver Broncos to win this game, especially at home. Now, I could be wrong. Chargers could win this game with all their people coming back from injury, but I'm taking the Broncos. Oakland versus Kansas City. I'm taking Kansas City. I think Oakland is a mirage. I think Kansas City is going to start to get on a roll. I'm going to take Kansas City. That'll be it for the NFL previews, prediction, gambling picks. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe. Please hit that like button. Thank you.